Have you ever wondered if our constant search for happiness is actually trapping us, and that the pleasures that are so easily accessible are making us vulnerable? Today, in the age of consumerism and social media, this problem has become especially relevant. The world offers an endless stream of entertainment and instant pleasures that exploit our weaknesses. In this video, we'll explore how seeking pleasure can harm our lives from the viewpoints of psychology, philosophy, and neurobiology. We'll also discuss why modern consumer society exploits this tendency and why it's so hard for us to resist. Most importantly, you'll learn ways to break free from the addictive pursuit of constant pleasure. And attention, at the very end, you'll find a lesson on how you might live if you were able to move beyond the constant search for quick pleasures. When a man cannot find a deep sense of meaning, he distracts himself with pleasure. Viktor Frankl. From a psychological perspective, the pursuit of pleasure often leads to so-called hedonic adaptation. When you get something you wanted, you feel happy for a moment, but then you get used to it and your expectations go up. So you feel unhappy again and you look for more happiness. This is like being on a treadmill. No matter how much you run after happiness, you stay where you are. Psychologists say that the more a person seeks pleasure, the higher their expectations become, and this doesn't lead to true happiness. Also, focusing too much on getting things right away can lead to a loss of deeper meaning and a sense of emptiness. Viktor Frankl, who survived the horrors of the concentration camp and created the theory of logotherapy, wrote that when life has no meaning, a person tries to fill this inner emptiness with superficial pleasures. This idea is expressed well in a quote from Frankl, which opens the book. When we don't have a sense of purpose or meaning in life, we can easily become addicted to things that give us temporary pleasure. But these distractions don't make us happy. In fact, the more we look for these pleasures, the more we end up feeling empty. This can lead to feelings of apathy, depression, and anxiety. Consumerism can trap us in a cycle of constant consumption, but this doesn't necessarily bring lasting satisfaction. Modern culture makes us think this way in many ways. We are taught from a very young age that success and happiness are the same as feeling good. Ads tell us that if we buy more things, we will be happier and more relaxed. This makes us think that happiness is the same as having a lot of fun. We start to look for things that make us happy, like new gadgets, fashionable clothes, and popular entertainment, thinking they will make us happy. But research shows that this isn't true. Material goods and sensory pleasures give a temporary effect without affecting the deep needs of the individual. When the euphoria of a purchase or a party passes, there remains disappointment and the search for a new goal for satisfaction. This creates a vicious circle. The more one consumes pleasures, the greater is the thirst for them, and the less they satiate the soul. Philosophers of different eras have warned of the dangers of immoderate hedonism, the pursuit of pleasure without moderation. Even in ancient times, the Stoics taught that the pursuit of pleasure distracts people from virtue and true good. The Roman thinker Seneca instructed, "Use present pleasures in such a way as not to harm future ones." In other words, instant gratification should not come at the cost of long-term well-being. It's important to know how to enjoy yourself without going too far. If you do, you risk damaging your health, your reputation, and your relationships with other people. Even philosophers who seem to like pleasure were much wiser than just enjoying it. Epicurus, who is often mistakenly thought of as someone who liked to indulge in pleasure, actually taught reasonable moderation. He told his student, "If you want to make a man rich, do not add to his money, but reduce his desires. True pleasure, according to Epicurus, is not having a lot of money and things, but having peace of mind. So, it is better to have fewer desires than many." Many religious teachings say the same thing. Buddha said that suffering comes from wanting things. If you don't want things, you will be happy. In Christianity, too, it is seen as a sin to desire too many worldly pleasures, such as food, drink, and physical pleasure. Instead, it is believed that the true path to happiness lies in being content with what you have and not being too concerned with material things. Even in the New Age, it is recognized that trying to find happiness through pleasure is not always the best way to live. John Stuart Mill also said that those who focus on more important things are the ones who are truly happy. So, from a philosophical point of view, if you only focus on enjoying yourself, you might miss out on the chance to develop other important qualities like virtue and intelligence, and you might not leave a lasting legacy. In the end, if you always chase short-term pleasures, you become a slave to your own desires, which is exactly what the Stoics were afraid of. Not without reason, Marcus Aurelius advised people to indifference to pleasures to maintain their strength of spirit. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from controlling our desires, not giving in to them. Now let's look at an important part of understanding why we struggle with addictions. It's all about the chemistry of pleasure and addiction. Scientists say that the brain is behind our pursuit of pleasure. The neurobiology of pleasure is mostly related to a neurotransmitter called dopamine. When we have a pleasurable experience, the brain's reward centers light up and we feel good. This is how our brain is designed to reward us for actions that help us survive, like eating or socializing. But if we artificially trigger this response too often, we can develop an addiction. The brain gets used to this strong stimulation and needs more and more of it to get the same effect. This is how drug addiction starts. A person increases the dose of the drug they take to get the same high. But the same thing can happen with other types of pleasure too. Gambling, pornography, sugary and fatty food, video games, social media. Modern research shows that fast digital entertainment can be addictive. For example, when you scroll endlessly on your phone, it can create a condition called dopamine addiction. Neurologists say that when you scroll through social networks, your brain is constantly looking for something new and interesting that will make you feel good. Each new picture or notification gives your brain a small burst of dopamine, which then disappears quickly, making you want to scroll further. Social media addiction is primarily a dopamine addiction. There is a short-term release of a small dose of dopamine, then it also falls quickly and addiction is formed, says neurologist Lyubov Blagodareva. It's like being on an emotional swing. A short excitement is replaced by emptiness, and to get rid of the unpleasant emptiness, you look for another stimulus, another video, another like, another award. This cycle makes the nervous system tired. When the brain is always being stimulated by pleasure, it becomes less sensitive to it and the body stops producing the hormones that make us feel good. This makes it hard to feel pleasure. Why is it hard to resist? These mechanisms are part of our biology. Our cravings for pleasure are hard to resist because they're part of our evolutionary history. When our brains register that something feels good, the reward system kicks in, and it's not easy to stop that. Also, many of the things that we see today, sugar, pornography, social media, are much more intense than the things that our ancestors encountered. Our brains weren't built to deal with this level of stimulation, so we respond to it as if it were a major event, forming strong bonds. This makes it hard for us to give up things like smartphones or fast food, as our brains get a huge amount of pleasure from them. Now let's look at the dangers of modern marketing and social media and how they take advantage of our weaknesses. In the past, we had to work for our pleasures, catching prey, earning money, buying things, waiting for letters from friends. But now the entertainment industry tries to give us as much pleasure as possible, as quickly and easily as possible. Companies try to get our attention and money using the latest psychology and neuromarketing techniques. Social networks and apps are designed to keep us using them by giving us interesting content. Algorithms analyze what interests us, what we look at, and what we react to, and then give us more of what we like. This creates a cycle where we keep looking at the feed, and the companies make money from advertising. Stores also play on our desires by offering discounts and making us feel like we have to buy now. Advertisements for beautiful people with perfect bodies make us want to look like them. Sexy images, bright colors, and music all make us feel good and get us to buy things. Marketing tricks us into feeling good and wanting to buy things. So why is it hard for a person to resist? First, these temptations are everywhere. As we leave the house, we see billboards and hear advertisements on the radio. At home, the TV and phone are full of entertainment and notifications, There is a lot of information and many offers of easy enjoyment. Second, as noted, it is not easy to resist our biological impulses. We now mostly focus on enjoying things now, rather than thinking about how it will make us feel later. This is called the hyperbolic discounting effect in psychology, where we think that short-term rewards are more important than long-term ones. Social media gives us a sense of approval from others, like likes and comments, which makes us feel good. It's hard to say no to this because it's human nature to want to be accepted and belong. Thirdly, there's the social factor. When everyone around us enjoys the benefits of consumption, it's hard to be the only person who doesn't. If friends go out to an expensive restaurant or update their smartphones every year, it's hard to go against the current because you feel like you're missing out on something. This is called the FOMO effect, which stands for fear of missing out. This makes it hard for people to say no to temptations. If they can't do this, they might end up being controlled by their whims and those who control them. The danger of always chasing pleasure, how it destroys life. When pleasure becomes a cult, life loses its balance. A person addicted to constant pleasure risks destroying different areas of their life. Physical health. Eating too much unhealthy food can cause disease, and drinking alcohol and taking drugs to feel good can destroy the body. For example, drug addiction, an extreme form of hedonistic addiction, can ruin health and even lead to death within a few years. Less obvious but harmful forms of addiction, such as sugar addiction or gambling addiction, also harm the body: obesity, stress, high blood pressure. Mental health. We've already mentioned anxiety and depression. It can also make it hard to enjoy simple things. If you always need more and more stimulation, you might start to see the world in black and white. Addicts often feel guilty and ashamed when they realize they can't control their impulses and are wasting time and energy. This can lead to low self-esteem and a lack of self-respect. Social relationships. The selfish pursuit of personal pleasure can destroy friendships, love, and family. If someone always focuses on their own pleasure, they might neglect the feelings and interests of loved ones. Addictions like gaming, alcoholism, or digital addiction can create a sense of isolation where people might prioritize their own pleasures over communication with loved ones. Over time, this can lead to a breakdown in trust and a lack of closeness. Personal growth and morality. Focusing only on pleasure can hinder personal development. If you focus on your own pleasure, you might miss out on the important things in life. Talents and time can be wasted in this way. Also, people can lose sight of right and wrong. They might do things like lie, cheat, or commit crimes to get the money or pleasure they want. History is full of examples of people who have done this and ended up failing. In literature, there are often stories about people who have sold their souls for pleasure, and these stories tend to have a tragic ending. Literary images of a hedonistic world. In fiction, the theme of the destructive power of pleasure and consumer society has been around for a long time. Books from the 20th century often use dystopias, imagined worlds where people are very unhappy, to warn us about a world where people worship comfort and entertainment to the point where they lose their humanity. One of the most famous examples of this is Aldous Huxley's novel, A Wonderful New World, 1932. This book tells the story of a future society where people are kept happy and content by always giving them what they want. From a young age, people are taught to enjoy pleasure and avoid pain at all costs. Family, religion, art, all of these things are abolished because they can cause strong feelings and torment. Instead, there is lots of sex. The idea is that everyone belongs to everyone, lots of consumption of things, and the drug soma, which makes everyone feel good all the time. At first, this seems like a society where everyone is happy. No wars, no sadness, no jealousy. But Huxley shows that there are problems with this. People have lost their free will, their ability to feel emotions deeply, and their individuality. Their happiness is not real, and they are like contented children who know neither creativity nor love nor real freedom of choice. The main character, Savage, who grew up outside this society, is horrified. The price of perfect happiness is the loss of everything that makes us human. At the story's climax, he demands his right to be unhappy, to make mistakes, and to feel pain because he wants to be a real human being. not just a machine. The novel, O Wondrous New World, is a clear warning that a world where pleasure is the only thing that matters is actually not good for people. Another example of this is Oscar Wilde's novel The Portrait of Dorian Gray, 1890. The main character Dorian is hedonistic and wants to be forever young and handsome, but his portrait starts to age and show the effects of his wild lifestyle. Dorian starts to believe in a philosophy that says you should enjoy every pleasure in life and not give in to temptation. Lord Henry says, the only way to get rid of temptation is to give in to it. Dorian lives by the following principle. He has lots of sexual partners, tries out different things, takes opium, and tries to experience all the pleasures available to man. At first, it seems like he has found freedom from morality and consequences, but Wilde shows how the hero is eventually punished for his actions. Dorian's soul, reflected in the portrait, becomes ugly as he does more and more wrong things. Each bad act makes his true appearance worse. He loses friends, ruins other people's lives, and finally, in a fit of despair, destroys the portrait along with his own life. This story shows that if you only care about having fun and pleasure, you will end up being destroyed by it. In another novel, F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby, 1925, there is a different kind of contrast. The main theme is the American dream, but a lot of the story is about Gatsby's fancy parties, where there's too much alcohol, drugs, and expensive food. This shows the Roaring Twenties, an era of jazz and money, where people thought that being fun was the most important thing. But actually, there was a lot of sadness and emptiness behind the scenes. Most of Gatsby's guests don't even know him personally and are only interested in the holiday. They are all about instant emotions, not serious relationships, and have lost touch with what is important. In the end, it's clear that money and parties can't stop you feeling lonely or being involved in a tragic accident. Gatsby's life ends in tragedy, and all his fun-loving friends are gone in an instant. This makes you think about whether being happy is just about having fun. Fitzgerald's answer is a resounding no. Another example of a dystopian world is Ray Bradbury's 1953 novel, 451 Degrees Fahrenheit, where society has banned books and people are entertained by watching TV all day. The main character's wife, Mildred, is completely immersed in this world of artificial pleasures and does not notice reality. She is drugged with pills to make her happy, but there is emptiness in her soul. One day, Mildred tries to commit suicide without realizing it. This is a disturbing symbol. A society spoiled by entertainment is on the verge of spiritual suicide. Bradbury shows that without thought and depth of feeling, man degenerates, no matter how comfortable his life is. Literary examples show that a world where pleasure becomes a cult turns into the degradation of personality and loss of true happiness. They serve as an example of our time, warning that the path of endless hedonism leads to the abyss. Ways out: how to find freedom from pleasure. Despite the gloomy picture, there is always a way out. Many people have realized that the pursuit of pleasure is harmful and have found the strength to change their lives. The first step is to recognize the problem. Until a person admits to themselves that they have reached a dead end, no advice will work. It is necessary to honestly see that the constant thirst for pleasure does not make me happy, but only drives me deeper into the pit. This realization can come from within, through a personal crisis, or from external events, such as a health scare or the loss of a loved one. It's a painful but necessary push for change. The second step is to look for meaning and goals beyond the immediate. In this, Frankl's ideas come to mind. The only way to counteract emptiness is to find personal meaning. Ask yourself, what do I want to achieve in this life other than pleasure? What will benefit me and others? How will I be remembered? The answers will help you to focus your energy on creating something instead of always consuming. This could be creative activity, taking care of your family, a career in your favorite business, or volunteering, anything that makes you feel fulfilled and significant. When you know what you want to achieve, it's easier to say no to temptations. For example, a parent inspired by caring for their children will be able to moderate previous hedonistic behavior because the family's well-being now comes first. Develop self-control and discipline. Stoic philosophers advised exercising willpower daily. Useful practice of small refusals, deliberately pause and postpone pleasure. If you feel the urge to scroll through social media, stop and do something else. If you want to eat the third piece of cake, stop at the second. This will help you to train your self-control. Modern psychologists offer a method of dopamine detox. This involves avoiding as many sources of quick pleasures as possible, e.g. social networks, sweets, TV series, for a while, to allow your brain to reboot. Although it's impossible to completely reset your brain's dopamine reward system, you can learn to enjoy simple things again, like walking, reading, or talking, without constant overstimulation. It's important to find a balance between pleasure and development. Pleasures are not evil in themselves. The problem is having too much of them and placing them at the wrong place in your hierarchy of values. It's worth returning pleasures to a healthy role of reward rather than the meaning of life. For example, a delicious dinner after a productive workday is more valuable than endless belly feasts. Without reason, as the ancient philosopher Antisthenes said, pleasures can be rightfully enjoyed only after labor, not before them. This means that you should first achieve or do something useful and then enjoy the reward. This approach not only disciplines you, but actually increases the satisfaction of pleasure because it is deserved and appropriate. Take a look at your environment and the things that trigger you. If you're struggling to break free from a bad habit, it might be helpful to change your surroundings. For example, if you and your friends usually meet for drinks, suggest trying new activities or finding a different interest group. If your house is full of things that make you want to buy more, e.g., a console that makes you want to play for hours, or a wardrobe full of clothes that make you want to buy more, it's a good idea to tidy up. Online, you can unsubscribe from too many entertainment accounts, delete time-consuming apps, and set limits on gadget use. This might feel difficult at first, but it will get easier over time, and the world around us, and from feeling that we have a purpose. Once you have found this inner core, the false lights of imposed pleasures fade, and life is filled with a deeper, quieter, but lasting happiness. We have finally come to the most important practical lesson that can be your first step on the road to freedom. Try to visualize a day that you live completely consciously. This will help you see what things you are not consciously doing and what you are running from. How to do it. First, start the day by asking yourself what is truly important to you and writing it down on a piece of paper as a reminder. Next, turn off all distractions like phones and TV. Third, pay attention to the little things. If you eat, pay attention to the taste of the food. If you walk, be absorbed in every step and listen to the sounds around you. Fourth, at the end of the day, write down your thoughts and what you noticed, and share your thoughts and what troubled you the most. What it will give you is a better understanding of what makes you happy and what doesn't, and will help you to find your true purpose, especially if you're very immersed in social media in your normal life. Maybe this video came to you for a reason, and it should be the first step on the path to your liberation. Share this video with your friends. It may be what they need right now. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, where I'll be sharing new ideas on how to live a truly happy life instead of just chasing the next dose of pleasure. Philosophy